Welcome to Cultural Fluency Makers. I'm your host, David Wellish. Each week, we welcome leaders to share how they stay ahead of the ever-changing consumer landscape. With today's cultural transformation, top brands need to understand diverse consumer segments from Gen Z, Hispanic, and LGBTQ+, to gamers, wine enthusiasts, and basketball fanatics in Iowa. Their marketing strategies require them to keep the pulse on their consumers, but also their brand in the category to continue to grow revenue for the long term. Cultural Fluency Makers is sponsored by Collage Group, the only cultural intelligence engine that provides brand and consumer insights on the why that drives consumer behavior and purchase decisions. Let's get started. I've been waiting for this episode for a while and so much looking forward to a dynamic and insightful dialogue. Today's guest is a seasoned executive with more than 26 years of experience leading at the highest levels of brand management and marketing. Over the course of his career, he's built a proven track record of growing brands, launching innovative products, driving revenue, and increasing profitability, all while shaping holistic marketing strategies that deliver results. His expertise spans consumer promotions, digital, social, e-commerce, public relations, and innovation, giving him a 360-degree perspective on what it takes to connect with audiences and build lasting impact. Known as a high-energy, results-oriented leader, he's also deeply skilled at bringing cross-functional teams together to achieve big goals. He is the Vice President of Marketing, General Manager, Fabric Care at Church Dwight. Kevin Sherlock, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you. What an intro. Appreciate it. I know it has been a while. Thank you for your patience.
I am really excited about this. So let's go. Let's dive in. And by the way, congrats on your new role, which is a really exciting one and so relevant to this conversation, Kevin. So, and we've been chatting about this, that America has changed so significantly in the last 10, 15 years, 5 years. The country has gone through deep demographic shifts. Consumers are more fragmented than ever. They're polarized. Diverse consumers are driving the growth of so many categories. With that context, what do you think is the role for cultural intelligence, for cultural insights, for consumer companies like yours?
It's really has gone from a nice to have to a must have. It used to be, hey, if we can communicate differently, sure. Now it is an absolute must have to win in today's environment.
How can companies win if they don't get this right?
No, absolutely not. It's all about authenticity now. It's telling the stories, building brand trust, and just, it's got to be in the voice or in the message to that particular consumer. It's listening on our side, listening in real time, trying to bring more diverse voices into the room and really looking around the corner to see how things are going to change down the road.
And Kevin, if it's so critical and so front and center, what's hard? And what are the key challenges?
It's extremely hard. It's, if you look at, we'll get into this a little bit later, but I now run our laundry detergent business here at Church Dwight. It's OxiClean, which is a stain fighter. It's Arm & Hammer laundry detergent, and then Xtra. And each has a very, very different consumer. And what's hard is we have X amount of marketing dollars, and how far do you spread it out and how far do you fragment it? And there's always someone else to reach out to in a different voice and targeting them, with a different medium, with a different message. It was, when I started, I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but it was TV, newspaper, magazines, and radio. And that was it. Now think of the billions of websites, think of, all the different social media influencers, and the messaging has to get right. But it's tough. It's so widespread. You have to touch so many different areas.
So audiences are more fragmented. Channels are more fragmented, and the dollars are sort of the same, right? The dollars don't change that much. So how do you, what gives, or how do you achieve scale in this context, which gets tougher and tougher?
Yeah, you make the biggest bets, right? You look at the largest different subcultures or sub demographics in our target consumer, and you try to target them, where, in their voice, in their media that they consume, and with the appropriate messaging. You cannot get to it all. If you try to get to it all, you'll never get it done, and you'll drown yourself trying to get it right. You have to pick the top, 80-20 rule, right? You get the top 80% right. Yeah, you should do better than your peers out there.
And so, Kevin, we've talked about this concept of cultural relevance. That every time I mention it to CMOs, marketers, heads of insights, the answer is, gosh, it is so critical to win hearts and minds. Um, for you, what does cultural relevance mean? At Collage, it's our own proprietary soundbite of cultural fluency. They sort of mean very similar things. What is it for you, and how does a brand become one in this marketplace?
It does not happen overnight. I'd say most organizations are not built for this. They're really not. And I think a lot of organizations right now are trying to build themselves, right? Build and evolve. And it's a lot more people, a lot more staff. Being culturally relevant to me means having the right people on the team, having the right resources, being culturally fluid, right? Understanding the codes and the values and the tensions and authenticity versus performance. There's a balance there. And that would translate into, the different languages and visuals and behaviors, and just to try to get it right. And again, organizations, I talk to peers all the time, are really struggling with it right now. And it's, we're really going from pretty generic outputs to very brand or cultural specific outputs. And it's a challenge.
How do you measure? How do you know if you're succeeding?
Great question. We talk about that all the time. It's, you need your leadership and my leadership above me, I would say myself too, to kind of trust, right? Get the right people on the team and trust. Do we have measurement? Sure. We have ROAS, we have, reach and engagement and all the traditional measurements. But boy, there needs to be a trust, right? There's art and science of it, right? The science is the data and the numbers, which we have plenty of, but there's the art part of it too. And you just have to get the right people on the team and just trust that they're doing it correctly.
And in terms of tools, do you feel like you've got the right tools to get culture, to be culturally relevant, to follow consumers? Is the marketplace there? Is the vendor world there in terms of providing such intelligence?
So it's getting there. It's getting closer. We have a team here that looks at all the different resources that are out there. I'm not the one to be able to say, hey, we should bring this on board. There's so many out there. Things are moving so quickly with AI. I know there's so much out there, but being the filter and, trying to figure out what the right ones are right now, we don't have it right now. But everyone is sprinting to try to get there.
And we'll talk about AI in a second. How could we know?
I had to work. It was 8 minutes and 36 seconds. We the floor. It's pretty good.
Exactly. We try. With Kevin, with your experience spanning so much, you have such a rich trajectory in brand management, digital, consumer promotion. What do you see as the biggest shift in how brands gain and apply marketing insights today versus when you started only three years ago?
Yeah, right. 3 decades almost. Yeah, it's a great question. So in the old days, it was the insights would come from traditional market research, primary, secondary research, interviews, triads, those type things, and we would pull the insights from there. now there is so much out there. Every retailer has data, has their own database. They're trying to monetize it. They're selling their insights to us. There are companies out there that are selling different pieces of data. And honestly, all of it's really good. It's just how do we sift through all of it that's coming out of us? We were challenged recently by our former CEO. He said, look, we're paying all these tens of millions of dollars for all this data and all this rich information, but I think it's being underutilized. And, this was not being utilized. And there is a challenge. We as an organization have brought a lot on, and now we're really trying to get our data scientists and insight people to really figure out which ones do we keep long-term and which one, and leverage hard. And then which ones, we might need to not keep long-term.
And in this world that is so data rich, how the heck do you balance being data driven, which I think there's so much pressure, obviously, because there's so much data out there about anything that you need and you want. So how do you balance being so data driven, but also not forget that creativity really counts in terms of consumer resonance?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something we think about and talk about all the time. I'll add one other layer to this is retailers want to sell their shopper card data and their data to us. And hey, you buy ours, we'll give you X, Y, and Z. So that is another lever that they apply. So how do you sift through it all? So we honestly, once again, we have to prioritize. We have to see which ones our teams find the most useful, which ones our teams mine the best, mine the deepest, and leverage those and use those more frequently.
What about the creative side of things? Do you think that, are you expecting your teams and your partners to be as creative as they were once? Or given there's so much data, do you think that the role of creativity over time will go down?
I think it's shifted. It's shifted from, traditional agency creative, right, to much more user and influencer and creator based. And that is the shift. And look, for old school marketers like me, it is really hard to let go. I grew up in the industry with a brand guide and a style guide, and you got to follow this font and that font. You can't talk in this tone or that tone. Those days are gone, long gone. You have to trust 2, 3, 4 layers away. Not only our team, then our social team that works on it, and then the influencers. And you just really have to trust but validate. And the creators do have the ability to customize for different cultures, different audiences, different needs or wants. But boy, as a leader, as a marketer, it is a little bit of a leap of faith. And I can see how things like Bud Light and other things like that happen. I can see it. Those brands are obviously much bigger, but I could easily see how it could happen. So it's so important to have the right people, the right agencies, the right, data resources on a team.
And the impact of mistakes are enormous. I mean, again, whether it's about Light, whether it's a Target, we can see it, we read about it, and I'm sure it must not be fun to be in those seats if that happens. Do you feel like there is good ways to measure the creator economy?
I don't think great. I think decent. Sometimes, when something goes viral or not, it's hit or miss. You could do the same thing. I could say it's better creative. And sometimes it's obviously back to getting the right people on the team, coming up and hiring and retaining the right creators. And then sometimes it's just a little bit time and place, right? You strike the right chord, you hit the right trend at the right time, and things take off.
All right, Kevin, ready? We're moving in. We're honing into the AI side of the world. We have arrived. So, gosh, as a marketer, as a leader, AI is transforming so much, and there's this as well, this sort of FOMO of, gosh, am I adapting fast enough? Am I leveraging all the opportunities? First, as a leader, how do you deal with this?
Yeah. So there's two approaches, right? So you could take be on the cutting edge of AI and whatever comes out, jump on it. Or you could take hey, there's so much out there. Let's take a wait and see approach in which all this stuff, let's see which one rises to the top and jump on that. So there's two different ways to go. I think AI, from my perspective, my experience, I do try to read a lot on it. It started as like this shiny experiment, the new shiny penny, but it's really started to shift to like the quiet infrastructure, like underneath how modern marketing is starting to run and will continue to run. It is a tool now. It gets really specific and it's still on the cutting edge here. It's still early days, but I do believe it's going to be the foundation of all modern marketing moving forward.
Can you say more? What do you mean by that? Like when you say that, what do you mean?
I mean, two very, very different examples, right? On the new product innovation brand insight side, right? We can now dump and load all of our historical market research studies, all secondary publicly available studies, throw it into this big data lake AI and get the top whatever unmet needs, top 5 unmet needs, right? So the speed and the time with that is not only you have historical learnings, right? Usually foundation to a category or a brand, but then you have the ability to pull in from new resources and new trends that are happening like this on Reddit or on TikTok or whatever. It pulls that in. That's the kind of the insight behind the scenes side. So that's helping you develop innovation, new products, the insight behind what motivates consumers to buy whatever brand. The other side is I'm in a marketing agency right now. There's AI videos and AI creation of advertisements and shorts and everything like that. It can be done very, very quickly and easily. We are still getting into that area, but boy, just play around yourself on Sora or some of those, and you can create an ad of my dog just jumping on a trampoline, pretty easily. So it is going to evolve, and I think it's going to allow us to get things out the door quicker, faster, and better quality. We're not there yet. We just try to do some animatics with AI, and we struggled a little bit. It's still that creepy look, the creepy face where it truly look fake. But I think for simple creative without humans, I think it's there and it will continue to get better.
It's interesting, Kevin. We are sitting on billions and billions of of cultural data points. Passions, occasions, cultural traits, attributes. The things that are harder to understand and to get via all these sort of segments of the population that are also hard to understand, and that's why there's cultural bias in some of the models. And so we do think about, gosh, with all of this data, could you just go right into the advertising side or not? So it's such an evolving, fast evolving space. The other interesting space is the synthetic persona world. If you think of consumer insights, you're talking to actual consumers. But the synthetic, right? The synthetic persona is, we already have enormous seed data on Hispanic Americans. Why do you need to talk to consumers if we create personas, AI personas that are fed our insights? Are they going to be better or worse than actual human beings?
Yeah.
And so there's so much experimentation in the synthetic persona world.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think as long as, if you remember the old days, like 6 months ago, a year ago, a lot of the chat GPTs of the world, they were closed, right? They're only from this point back. Now they all have the ability, I would imagine, to pull from, yesterday's news, this morning's news, to this morning's insight or Reddit post or TikTok. So when it's not a closed loop, I think that's okay. And that's what you want, right? You want the data to be continually updated. When you close it, lock it down, and that's it. Yeah, you're going to be, the data will get stale extremely quickly.
Great. Let's let's go a little more personal. If we've learned from you, let's now spend a few minutes in learning about you. So, Kevin, what inspires you? I mean, you've done so well. You've done so many different things. What inspires you and motivates you every day?
Great question. I love to compete and win, right? Played a lot of sports growing up. I had that competitive nature. Obviously, once you hit college, for the most part, you can't anymore. Uh, I I love this industry, right? Because I'm competing. I'm keeping score. I'm trying to compete versus the Procter and Gambles of the world, the Kenvues of the world. You name the competitor that we keep, Unilever and everybody. We're keeping score. I look every morning. How did our sales do? What is our dollar share? I just love to compete and just see how we're doing versus competition. And then just just thinking, right? Okay, whatever didn't work, what can we do differently? What can we do differently? So it's just the need and the desire for competition, I guess.
You know what? It's so I like that. It's very real. It's very pragmatic, and not that many people talk about it in those ways. So that
Yeah.
I mean that's great. Now, for the younger audience, it's a tough time for the younger folks today, especially, coming out of school, deciding what to do. The job market is hard. There's so much instability all over the place. If you could travel back in time and give your 20-year-old self advice, what would that be?
I would do a couple of things. 20, right? So you're mid college. I had the life right in the summer, right? Obviously lived at home. I went down to Jersey Shore a lot, worked, like landscaping jobs, ringing trees, that kind of stuff in, early college. I didn't do an intern until my senior year. I think if I had to do it again, I would do an internship every year in college. Try different areas, see what I liked. Obviously, I lucked out. Went one for one. I did it and I lucked out, and it's my career. But I have a sophomore in college right now and a senior in high school, and a younger one, but they're really struggling with what field to go into. And I'm telling them, hey guys, do 4 different internships in college, do it different areas and see. Look, did I learn a lot working at the Hillsborough Township Road Department? Absolutely. Right. I learned all the stuff, really, good life stuff. But if I had to do it again, I would tell my kids and anyone that's asking is do a different internship every year and keep your head up too. Meaning don't go into work 9 to 5, get up, meet people, have lunch with someone different every day, talk to people at the water cooler, and really get to know people. Cause that's, nowadays, especially with all the AI, LinkedIn and everything, it's, you submit a resume and you will never hear back from people. You read stories about submitting hundreds of resumes. You can make 1 or 2 phone calls with someone, that'll go a long way to getting someone a job.
I could not agree with you more. I also have a senior in college, and I also have 2 out of college, and the notion of experience, and just try. You can't. It's so overwhelming. There's so many different things that you can do, and obviously nothing like the network, which we know well. And to finish this great episode, Kevin, what do you do for fun outside of work?
Watch a lot of college football. I don't know if you can see my big Rutgers helmet back there. It looks like it's cut off. Watch a lot of college football in person. I spend a lot of time with my kids, although they're getting older now, so they don't want to spend as much time. And my hobby, which I call this with asterisk, is I own a bunch of rental properties, college rental properties. And, now I end up doing the work down there myself. In the old days, in the beginning, I used to do the work. Then we would hire people, and now I really enjoy doing that work with my business partner and friend. So it's those are my big 3 right now. But the kid part of it, that's slowing down as they get older.
It happens. Well, Kevin, much gratitude and appreciation for our time together. Thank you very much. And again, I know our audience will find this super helpful and useful. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be a part of this, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And this has been another exciting episode of Cultural Fluency Makers. Take care. That's a wrap on another episode of Cultural Fluency Makers. Thank you for joining us. Please share your comments and what you would like to hear more about. Be as specific as possible. For show notes and more, please visit culturalfluencymakers.com. This show is proudly sponsored by Collage Group, unleashing the power of cultural intelligence to fuel brand growth. Please follow Collage Group on LinkedIn, and we will see you next week.